Hey, this video is going to be a little different from my normal videos because I was going through the survey results that you guys gave me. Thanks a lot for that. That was awesome. I got a lot of really cool stuff. But I was going through them and I noticed a lot of people were asking me stuff like how did I learn Japanese and how I learned Japanese so fast, etc. Stuff like that. And at first I didn't really want to do a video like this, because I didn't want to put the spotlight on me, so to speak. I actually have a spotlight right there, so this whole thing makes sense. But anyway, I didn't want to focus on me too much. But I thought that after a while, seeing the results and stuff, I was like, well, maybe if I tell my story, some of you can kind of reflect and see where you're at now and kind of make sense to you, and maybe see how I learned Japanese. It might help you guys. So that means sorry to you guys who just want to see me dress up like a hideous girl with pigtails. But anyway, it all started with a crazy passion for anime. I know, surprise, right? But I watched DBZ, Dragon Ball Z, back when I was a kid on Toonami Cartoon Network, and I loved it like most boys did. But it wasn't until I watched Inuyasha, it was on Cartoon Network's Adult Swim, and I thought, well, I wonder if I could download this stuff on the internet instead of, waiting a day to see an episode. Now, I'm not promoting piracy or anything, but at the time I was a really bad kid, probably still am, but a lot of things I did probably should never be repeated. So I did that, and I found it, but it was in this crazy Asian language with these English subtitles, and I was like, oh, I didn't know how to find anything else, so I was like, okay, I'll watch it. But something cool happened. I loved it. I got super hooked. Watching in Japanese, which is what it was, with English subtitles was so much better than listening to the English dub. It was crazy. I was able to dive into it fully. And it just became this super obsession where I watched like 100 titles, DBZ, Naruto, all the popular stuff, everything basically at the time. Really dived into it. It was super cool. And to be honest, it was like just what I needed at the time, because I'll take you a little backstory on what happened, what was going on. My parents had been divorced since I was a little kid, and my dad made it a habit to move in with a new girlfriend every single year. And he would usually change cities so that the old girlfriend wouldn't find him with the new girlfriend. That's pretty smart. Good job, Dad. But I had to change schools every time. So it kind of made me a little socially awkward, as you can guess. Didn't have a lot of friends. And he was kind of poor too. My family was kind of poor, so I couldn't have cool clothes really, or any really cool clothes. I actually had high waters enough a lot of the time. Their pants are too short, so that you have like a little leg. It was kind of embarrassing. I got teased for that. I had a big mole on my face right here. I got it removed, but that was also something people teased me with. And oh, that's right. I was a terrible student. I had actually one year I got all F's and 1 D. That's accomplishment right there. So basically, my dad hated me for that. And the home life wasn't too great, as you can probably guess. It actually got so bad at the time that I developed an anxiety disorder called social phobia. Basically, that means that you're scared to go outside and talk to people and stuff. So that kind of sucked, but it was right around that time that I found anime, and I was like, oh my god, this is wonderful. This is like a gift from Jesus. I could just dive in and escape and like forget about all my problems at home, and it was really cool. It was awesome. Now, after watching for about a year, I started to get kind of frustrated with the subtitles. They were always like blocking the show, and it was kind of really annoying to read your anime, honestly. And also, at the time, I got like obsessed with Japanese culture. I loved their anime. I started to love their dramas, and I liked the music and their culture, just everything. I felt like I was like Japanese in a past life or something. It was really, really, really obsessive. So basically what this amounts to is I wanted to move to Japan. I wanted to live there, and I wanted to get rid of these subtitle things. So I was like, alright, I'm going to tackle this thing. I'm going to learn Japanese. I'm going to take it head on. So I got America's favorite program, Rosetta Stone, Japanese. I learned that way. And at first it was really cool to match up the pictures with the words. I was like, oh, this is kind of a cool way to learn. But after I got into it, a little bit more complicated, where there was actually sentences, not just word to picture. I was like, what in the world is this sentence referring to in the picture? It was really hard to match up that stuff. It was just really frustrated, so I quit about a quarter in Rosetta Stone. I don't recommend it for people, but it was pretty cool at first. Fortunately, I found a copy of Pimsleur's Japanese at my local library, and it was pretty cool too at first. It was an audio program if you don't know about it, and I learned that way, but after a while it started to feel like I was being fed constructed sentences, and it didn't teach our grammar at all. So I was like, oh, this is kind of frustrating to learn this way. So about halfway I gave up on that one too. So I decided to do some research this time, and I found this program online called Let's Learn Japanese Basic. And it was really cool, basic in general, compared to the other two things I tried. And I finished the program. It was cool. But I went back to anime and I noticed that I hadn't really learned, I couldn't understand what they were saying. It didn't really make sense. Like, I learned all this stuff, like, well, I don't understand anime. It was really frustrating. I was like, what's going on, you know? So basically I got fed up and I was like, alright, I'm gonna tackle this thing myself. So I found out, I went online research and I found out there's actually two different types of Japanese. You probably know this. There's formal and then there's casual. And in programs like Rosetta Stone and Pimsleurs and school and stuff, they teach you formal. But in anime and in Japan, in casual conversation, they actually use casual. So, and the reason they do this is actually so that people, when they come to Japan, gaijin, Japanese people come from America, foreigners basically, they don't want them to be rude and, you know, assholes basically, which we pretty much are, Americans anyway, we're assholes. But and also, they also taught different words in the program. Like, they would teach book and pen and economics major and stuff like that. And, you know, frankly, that stuff is not really used in anime. But I decided there had to be a better way, so I decided to teach myself casual Japanese and anime casual related words. At the time I was watching Naruto, so I thought, what were the most common words in Naruto so I could teach myself, you know, learning using the show. So what I did was, actually I spent like 2 months researching online trying to find the manga transcripts of the show, and I got like 1,000-page documents, huge, and I ran a word frequency chart on this thing, a word frequency analysis, and I charted out the answers, and I got, after the 300 most common words in Naruto, and I got all the way from the top, what's the most common word in Naruto / anime related words, all the way down to the bottom. And so I decided to go from the top and learn Japanese using that method. I would take a dictionary and open it up, and I'd use Google, and I just research each single word, and I go down that way. Another thing I did was I read a little book called Remembering the Kanji. It's by James Hisig, and the concept, basically you use mnemonic devices to remember these characters, these 2,000 characters, and actually what it'll do is you'll learn all 2,000 characters in a matter of, you know, a couple months. I know people who've done it in like 2 months, and it was crazy. And I read this book, and it uses, you know, little stories so you can correlate to the actual characters. But I thought, hey, why not use that with words instead of just characters? So I went down my 300, you know, list of Naruto most common words, and I'd apply a story with a mnemonic device to every single one, and I went down my list that way. Also, I came up with about 24 other cool little techniques that helped me learn Japanese with like lightning speed. It was really cool, helped me learn it by myself. Now, after this, miraculous things, just miraculous, super cool things started to happen. I went from spending hours and hours a day with Pimsleurs and Rosetta Stone and some websites and stuff that I didn't mention, and into 1 hour a day. And with about a month, I started to understand the stuff they were saying on anime. It was, whoa, it was crazy. And with about a year, give or take a month or two, I really understood pretty much all of basic Japanese. I'd listen to anime, it was just crystal clear. I'd have to look up a few words here and there, and those specialty words, but everything, I got it, really. It was cool. And I can say this with confidence because at the end of the year, I actually went to Japan. And the cool thing was I would go up to, and also I should mention that it's every bit as bliss as I thought it would be, and probably all of you think it would be, so it's really cool. Go there, it's change your life, it'll be awesome. But anyways, people would come up to me, Japanese people, and they'd be like, wow, your Japanese is really good, how long have you learned? And I would be like, oh, you know, about a year or so, and they were just like, they would literally pee themselves, like they're just like, oh my god, and so that was really, really cool. Now, I would also say to you that learning a language like that, especially your dream language, and it has an immense effect on your confidence. After I came back from Japan, I was able to kind of overcome my social phobia thing, and I went to school, and I actually became like a kind of a mildly popular guy. It was pretty cool. I had some friends and stuff. Unfortunately, my dad didn't move again, which helped out, but I also, you know, made friends and stuff. That was great, and which made me happy, which in effect made my grades go up. So instead of getting all F's, so, you know, I'd get like B's and A's. It was pretty cool. I had some C's and stuff. It wasn't perfect. But, and actually, which is great, recently, 2 years ago, I got into UCLA. It's like the top university, one of the top 2 universities in California, which is where I live. Now, this whole thing is why I started this channel, because I wanted to teach people like you and me to, you know, knock out those nasty subtitles and go to Japan and have the time of your life. But recently I've been getting, well, not recently, kind of like a month ago, a lot of my newsletter subscribers over on my website have been saying, hey, you should do something more, you know, you should like come up with like a course or like a program or teach us real beginner Japanese, you know, instead of like little videos. And I didn't want to do it at first because I don't really consider myself a, you know, a certified really good teacher anyway. But I was like, okay, after much coercion, I was like, you know, motivation by these guys. They're great. I love my subscribers. But after much of that, I was like, okay, you know, maybe I'll do this. Maybe I'll try it out. I'll give it a shot. And since that, about a month ago, I started working on this full-length Japanese learning program thing, using the 300 word list. Actually, this is the reason why I haven't made a lot of YouTube videos, so sorry guys, I've been working on this thing. That's my real excuse, honest to God truth. But I've been working on this thing, and it's like using the 300 words that I use, and you know, the 2 dozen techniques, and all that kind of stuff. So if you want to stay more updated on that, you can go ahead and join my newsletter on my website, or I'll tell you stuff here and stuff like that. So, but in any event, I would say that if you have any hesitations at all learning Japanese, don't. It is without a doubt the best decision you'll ever, well, not the best decision you'll ever make, but it's one of the best decisions you'll ever make. It's really every bit as awesome as you think it would be, and everything you imagine is true, the good stuff anyway. But it really is awesome, and if someone can, like me, can learn Japanese, you know, anyone can, really. That's the moral of the story. But thanks for listening to my story, and I hope it didn't bore you to sleep too much. You know, you can wake up now. But I'll see you guys next time. Thanks a lot.